We're going to make it. It's just going to be through some major, major extremes. This year is a critical year for change, and Trump is the catalyst that's going to cause the biggest change that historically has ever happened. So it's an end of an old era, of the old and the beginning of the new. I'm a Vedic astrologer, and what Vedic astrology is all about is astrology from India. And what I love about it is the true placements of where the planets all are in the zodiac. And the tropical Western astrology is actually off by almost a full sign, but this is astronomically correct. And what I love the most about Vedic astrology, I've been an astrologer for 40, almost 45 years. But what I love about the Vedic system is the most accurate for prediction. And that is why people come to me as an astrologer. They want to know their future. And this is the system that can deliver that the very, very best. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have concerning the future, but most people definitely want readings done on themselves, looking at their own chart. So what a chart actually is, for those that don't understand astrology, is it takes your birth date, your time of birth, your year, your day, your month of birth, where you were born, and it takes all the planets where they were at this point. Is called the natal chart. And what we do is we look at where the planets are currently in the sky and relate them to where they were when you were born. And we can predict anything you want to know. I can go backwards in time and predict what's already happened. I can see what's going on now. But most of all, people need astrology to give them guidance, to direct them for the future. And I'm able to tell you, most of all, where we're headed in the year of 2025. Everyone really wants to know what's going to be happening. And I just had an all-day workshop where I went over a 6-hour workshop where I went over what's going to be happening. This is the year for everything. I know everything's been changing a lot, but this is the year. So exciting that everything is about to change, and I feel like it's an end of an old era, but the beginning of something brand new. And one of my predictions are basically that this year is a purging of everything that has been building and about to explode. And yes, this is the year it's going to explode. But by the time we get to 2026, I know it's going to be a year of the golden age. So everything clears, and we're going to have a massive healing for humanity. That's what I see by the year of 2026 and 2027. Let me give you a breakdown for the whole year so you can prepare yourself for what's coming. Because first, I'm seeing something very big happening globally in the world. Really the end of 2024, so I'm going to say in the next week or two, but also in the first week of January, first 2 weeks of January, an explosive event will happen. This is really the beginning. It's the beginning of the end, if that makes sense. So everything is exploding and coming to a head. And then what I see by February, there's a lot of anger that's been building in the world. People are frustrated. There's been the war in Russia and Ukraine. There's been the war in the Middle East. And this is the time that finally people are understanding that this can no longer happen. But people in the world leaders, are still leading us into war. But by February, there's going to be a big awakening. But March and April are the true turning points where people really come alive and understand everything that's been going on. It's going to be amazing. And you know something else I see? During March and April, the economies in the world are going to start coming back. It's going to be major changes in the economic rule and what's going on in the stock market, yes, I'm saying it's going to prosper and explode and get big, but not for long. Because by May, there's another big change. There's almost like this year goes into segments. It's like January, explosion. April, April, things come together where prosperous in growth, but it's so temporary and it's so extreme. So in other words, what I'm seeing is highs and lows going on throughout this world that are amazing. We've never seen a year like this. So these highs and lows, then the big shift happens in May. Because astrologically in May, Jupiter in the sidereal Vedic chart that I use changes signs. Jupiter is the planet of prosperity. Jupiter is the planet that deals with abundance and the economy. And it changes signs. And when it does in May, I feel like the stock market, everything that people are putting their money in investments will be growing to a big extent. But by June, there is an enormous change because what I'm seeing is Mars will come together with the planet, well, it's not really a planet, but the south node of the moon, K2, and that usually represents something to do with terrorism or attacks. So I see the months of June, July, and August as the great awakening of the year. So much is going to be exposed that has concerned governments, the corruption, the money, where it's all been going. This is all about to be revealed, and the people are ready to hear all of this. So as the truth comes out, this will be really June, July, and August. We're going to have an amazing awakening, and the reality and the truth are going to come out. And you know something else? During these months, Saturn and Neptune come together. I'm talking astrology now, but Saturn represents reality and Neptune represents illusion. And what happens is we're all waking up to the illusion and the lies and the corruption that the governments around the world have been up to. So there's this big clearing. Another thing I see with this, because Neptune is how we escape the world. It deals with illusion, right? And a lot of people are going to be looking for help. And there's going to be a lot of corruption still going on in the terms of, I think a lot of people are going to be turning to a lot of cults. And if you know what a cult is like a spiritual group that takes control of your mind and separates you from your family and gets all of your assets. But the point is that there's so much going on with mind control during this time, illusions, but everyone's starting to really see what's been hidden from them. So I say it's a big wake-up call. We're all going to see the reality and the truth of what's really been happening behind the scenes. I gotta say, for the really and truly the last 50 years, there's been so much going on with these governments. Now the governments can't hide anything anymore. But a lot of people are going to be turning to different religions and cults to try to escape the reality and the truth of what's coming out. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but we're going to have this realization. This is the months of July, August, September. But let me tell you what happens by October. Because Jupiter will shift and just briefly go into Cancer. And by the way, for those that are watching that understand astrology, I'm not talking about the tropical Western placements. I'm talking about the sidereal Vedic placements, which are astronomically correct. A lot of people confuse what I'm saying with Western astrology. But I did Western astrology for 20 years, and this is more accurate to use them. The sidereal placements are astronomically correct. So when I say Jupiter's just moving into Cancer, some people may not understand that this is a different calculation, but it is astronomically correct. So Jupiter goes into Cancer. around the 18th of October, and we'll be there till the first week of December. And then it retrogrades back into Gemini, but during that segment of time, we're going to see a glimpse of what's to happen in the year of 2026. In June of 2026 is when Jupiter will go into Cancer and remain there. So during this segment of October through December, we're going to have people start to see where we're headed, which is an incredible healing for humanity. So the world is turning to the opposite extreme. And everything is like the pendulum. It flows from one extreme to the other. And it's gone to the left, which we call it more liberal-minded people. That's where we've been. But now it's swinging to the right, where it's more conservative type people that are coming into power around the world. This is not just in the United States. But now Donald Trump is in office, and I believe that the conservative is coming back, but there is a dark side, or should I say, just another side that does not want him in power. Okay? So Donald Trump must be careful because I know that there's going to be more assassination attempts on his life. And it could be that whoever doesn't want him in power is trying to take him down. And we know that. That's obvious. But I'm feeling like around the time there's so much happening that is going to possibly delay his inauguration. But I do think the inauguration will happen. Then something's going to happen possibly between February and May. Particularly April looks the most difficult for him. And it looks like he could have another assassination attempt. But what's going to happen more than anything is he is going to expose a lot of the corruption that's been going on in the government. And I don't just mean this past presidency. I mean for 50 or 60 years. Because there's so many things that have been repressed and hidden, especially back when President Kennedy was assassinated. Who killed Kennedy? That's going to come out this year, and that's going to be a big shocker because it was not a lone gunman. It was actually the CIA, the government, and the oil people and the vice president at the time were involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. This kind of corruption is what I'm talking about, and it's been going on for so many years, and it's not just in the United States. This is how governments and countries control their people. They just get rid of them when they want. This can't be anymore. So this is what's going to be exposed, and I believe Trump is wanting to expose a lot of this past historical events of corruption. And there's many who don't want it, so they're going to try to take him out. But there's something that comes together for him around the time of October that finally a healing can occur. So whether or not you like Donald Trump or not, I always say he's a catalyst for change because ever since he's come in, it's shaken everyone up. There's so much changes that are going on. I'm not saying he's good or bad, but I'm saying he's changing things. And we need change. So many people disapprove, and yes, he has a very bad history in many respects of the word, but he's still going to be a catalyst that creates the change that's going to bring a healing by the time of 2026 and 2027. There's going to be more fighting, there's going to be more war, and this will proceed through half of this year of 2025. And it's, things have to come to an end. They're going to come to an end in October. But I do think that there are some highlights, some high times for war still among us. And that's going to be, well, I think the beginning of this year, January, February. Then things are going to change, and all of a sudden, there's going to be prosperity in the months March, April, May. Then come June, and there's more fighting and possible war, June, July, and August. And finally, it will clear, and we will not have the wars anymore. So there's two outbreaks, I believe, the beginning of the year and in the months of June, July, and August. Then we're going to have the clearing. But it's like everything that's been suppressed and hidden, especially about the wars in the Middle East, in Ukraine and Russia, all these hidden agendas will surface and come to the top. Another thing I keep seeing is China. China is going to be involved in a lot of this, and that's going to be happening around the first of the year. There's so much happening, and China, the U.S. are really the countries that are involved in the financial sectors of the world. You know, China provides the chips, a lot of the workings that the U.S. needs for companies and business, and vice versa. So actually, China and the U.S. need each other. They can't be destroying each other if they want money in the economy to grow. But there's going to be some fights, there's going to be some problems, but overall they're going to be able to work it out. That's the most important thing for everyone to know. Through fighting, through going back and forth and scaring everyone, they're going to finally work it out. But I do think there is a threat of some kind of terrorist attack in the U.S. the first month of the year, or maybe the end of 2024. But something is due to happen because they want to make it very rocky for the beginning of this new presidential team. When they come in, they're not going to let them just come in and do their job. They're going to try to cause problems, break it up, make them focus on other things rather than their plan, because they don't want this to work. They don't want all the exposure to come out about where they've been and what they've been doing. And that's exactly what the new team that President's putting together plans to do. So that's going to create like a war. Whether it's in the U.S. or around the world, there's going to be a lot of fighting until the end of the year when there's going to be a healing. But there's going to be major highs and lows in the economy. You're going to see this. It's going to be kind of amazing that the stock market can come up to such highs and such lows all in 1 year. So a lot of people are going to be making a lot of money, because when the stock market goes up and down, a lot of people make a ton of money, a lot of people lose money, but the extremes of the economy you're going to see. But eventually, people are going to realize we all need each other to prosper and grow economically, globally. It's not just one country or the other. We all need each other for economic growth and productivity, and most of all, happiness, so that we're not in trouble trying to pay our bills. I always say this. Money makes the world go round. Money's a good thing. People need money. And when you give them more prospects and ways to make money, everybody's happier and everyone's prosperous and everything grows. And I know that this is the intention of what I want the world to be, is happy together, making money and being prosperous. So we're going to make it. It's just going to be through some major extremes. This year is a critical year for change, and Trump is the catalyst that's going to cause the biggest change that historically has ever happened. So it's an end of an old era, of the old and the beginning of the new. And something else I've said that doesn't sit well with a lot of people, but I know this is true. You're going to love this. I believe that Elon Musk, he's a scientist, he's an inventor, and yes, he's one of the richest men in the world. But I think his interest, now I'm basing this on his birth chart, I think his interest is really going to go towards health and healing. And I believe he's going to come up with some new trends. This is not this year. It's probably going to be in a year or two. But he's going to come up with some new trends on how to heal the body and extend life. And this is going to be monumental. We all want to be healthy. We all want to live longer. And I think he's going to create the possibilities with a new technology of healing. And no, I'm not talking about putting chips in our brain or anything like that. I'm talking about a healing of the physical body, that the world is really coming to a point where we're going to have more weather, more storms, and yes, what I see is definitely more earthquakes and terrible storms that will hit. Because actually, what I'm seeing is the Neptune-Saturn conjunction. What we do as astrologers, I think you'd find this really interesting, is we look at all these planetary configurations, such as when planets come together with a conjunction or a trine or an opposition. This is where we look at them in the sky. As they come together, some of these aspects are very rare. Sometimes they, like the Pluto and Neptune, they don't come together but, every 400 and some odd years. And then we have Saturn that comes together with Neptune, and I believe that it comes together every 36 years. So we have these long-standing conjunctions. So what we do as astrologers is we go back historically in time to see when the last time was that these planets came together in these positions. What did it produce before? So even though Saturn and Neptune come together every 36 years, it's even more lengthy when they come together in a particular sign. There's 12 signs of the zodiac. So even though they may come together every 36 years, they may not be in the particular sign that they're about to come together in. So I went back historically to see when Saturn and Neptune came together before. And historically, it had horrendous events with shipwrecks, with earthquakes, and particularly, I want to say, here's another thing that Neptune and Saturn rule that they're going to make happen. Saturn rules crude oil, what's underneath the ground, and see, all the planets rule something different. And when they come together, it brings events concerning these particular features of the Earth or what's going on in humanity. So Neptune rules gas and oil and fog. You put Neptune together with Saturn, crude oil, what's underneath the Earth, and you're going to have all sorts of explosions with oil and gas. So my prediction is this year we're going to have some explosions, maybe with the fuel that's underground that delivers the fuel to different countries, and as well as just the tankers that ship the oil back and forth in the oceans. We're going to have terrible oil spills. There's going to be a lot of catastrophic events involving oil and gas because, well, you've heard Donald Trump say he's going to drill more oil than ever before, but we're going to have some serious problems with the oil and gas, explosions around the drilling sites, in the areas that they ship the oil through the oceans, as well as where they have the huge tunnels and pipelines. We're going to have massive events concerning oil and gas this year. And aside from that, I see massive earthquakes. The last time they came together in the sign, we have had incredible explosive earthquakes underneath, tsunamis. Yes, tsunamis will be a big feature. Japan, all of these countries will have more earthquakes than they've had before, and serious ones. So there's going to be extreme weathers, typhoons, hurricanes that are going to be more intense than ever here in the year of 2025. As a matter of fact, this is like a year and last year where there's been so much division. And the division is that people feel separate. And, you could say politically and in the media, they have really worked hard to divide us all and make us separate. But what's happening is that we're all becoming aware, we're all becoming awake, and everyone's kind of figured out what's been going on politically. And I mean this around the world. This is not just what's happening, you know, in the United States or in China. It's happening globally. People are all waking up to what's been going on and all the divisions, and people are sick of it. And they're going to start coming together, and there's going to be a healing, even though there's been a division. This is the last year. The final division will be met. And I think the truth is finally coming out for everyone. There will be an awakening of people wanting to come together to heal all the divisions and the separation, all of the corruption and all the problems going on in the world. The light will reveal it all. And then I predict that in the year of 2026 is the golden age. Of course, it's after June. But we have to go through this enormous purging in 2025. There's going to be a lot of fighting, there's going to be war, but most of all, there's going to be breakout of the truth of everything that has been repressed from us for so many years. And you know what I always say? The truth heals. When we have the truth, then we know what we're working with and we know what to do to heal ourselves. We all need the truth in order to heal. And that also goes actually not for the world affairs, but individually within us all. Because when we wake up to who we really are and we see the truth, the spirit within each other, then we can start to unite. There's no more separation, there's no more war, and we're coming to this golden age. Right, there is more conflict in the year of 2025, but this conflict, as I've said, is a purging, is a healing. Everything is coming to a head, and as it does, the world wakes up. What do you talk more about that? So the world is going to wake up, and I love this because they're going to wake up more to the spiritual essence of who they really are. And, you know, people are always searching for answers outside of themselves. They're always, you know, even in religions, they go pray to God outside of themselves. But what I think everyone needs to understand is God is not outside of ourselves. It's within ourselves. And as we discover the God within us, that we are connected to that divinity, and we can get all of our answers, by the way, within, then there will be a massive healing. So I believe people are going to start to understand that they're connected to the divine, and they don't need to search outside of themselves for all the answers that will heal their lives and ultimately heal the world. Because it always starts within us all, right? So it's within us that this spiritual awakening occurs. So as it's happening out there, it's also happening within each of our souls. This is a revolution and revelation for humanity this year. Everyone's going to start waking up. Well, not everyone, that's impossible, but a lot of people that are going to create a new, like, revolutionary age, a new era. This is the beginning. As I've said, it's the beginning of the end, which creates a new era for humanity. And things are going to be different after this year. Absolutely, incredibly different. This is a big transitional period. And I think we're going to, I don't know what all your viewers feel about extraterrestrials, but I do think that we're going to be in contact with them. They are helping us. They are helping us from destroying ourselves. And we're all going to wake up to the fact that we're not alone here on planet Earth. There is a mass universe of light. And when we all connect, it's going to be a beautiful thing. I don't think that total connection is going to happen this year, but I believe in 2030 and 2038 we are going to have the biggest awakening on planet Earth ever. But this is the beginning. This is definitely the beginning. So, as I said, this is the beginning of the end, and this creates a whole new era. And we're going to discover from all of our drilling and all of the work that we do with oil and gas that this may not be the answer. We're going to have to find some alternative ways of energy because we're going to have more earthquakes, we're going to have more disasters because of this. And by the way, not to change the subject too much, but I found this really interesting as an astrologer, that I went back to the last time that Saturn came together with Rahu, and Rahu is the north node of the moon. They come together every 12 years, but 11 to 12 years, 10 to 12 years. But the sign, as I said, is very specific. So the very last time that they came together in Pisces, and that's where they're going to come together through the months of March 29 through May 29. So this is basically 2 months that they come together in the sign of Pisces. I went back historically to see when did they come together in the sign of Pisces. It was 1968. And thinking about 1968, you're way too young to remember, but I remember exactly what went on in that year. First of all, what happened was the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. 3 months later, Robert Kennedy, who was President Kennedy's younger son that was running for president, he was assassinated. So 2 assassinations within a 3-month period, and this was relative to the Rahu-Saturn conjunction in Pisces, and it was the Vietnam War. And you being where you are in Vietnam, this can mean another flare-up because that's what happened before in your country. So this can involve, areas of war and blow-ups happening again because that's what we do as astrologers. We go back historically to see what happened when these planets align, and they will reproduce a similar event. That's why I'm really concerned about an assassination attempt on Donald Trump between that window of time because it happened before.